What is it about peer support that makes Eles Place work?
I I can say from experience from myself being in a peer grief support group, as well as my children, that there's this basic need of a sense of belonging somewhere. And after a person in your life dies and you are in some immense grief, just knowing there's other people that understand you and know how you feel is so powerful and healing in itself. And just knowing there's a safe place that you can be together to share those emotions and feelings that overwhelm you and that consume your daily life and that you just need to talk about it's so powerful. And those peers are so important during that time. So you can share with them, they can share with you, and there's a mutual understanding of those feelings.
For me, the peer support magic happens. Kids need kids, and when they're in this sort of deep grief emotional place, they have all these parent helpers coming in to make them feel better. But when they get it from a peer, from someone their own age who can look them in the eye at their level and say, hey, I feel it, I get it.
I agree. I think that I know I was 7 when my sister died, and I didn't know anyone who had my age who had a brother or a sister or parent die until I went to Eles Place. And that was really the first time that I saw that there were other kids my age going through the same experiences I had. We all have different stories and different experiences with grief, but there were kids my age who had been through it. And even later in life, when you meet people who have experienced something similar, you have an instant connection. Like you're part of a club that no one wants to be a part of, but being a part of the club is really powerful, and it makes you feel not so alone when you're in your grief.
And the other thing that makes the peer work so good is that the stigmatism of death in our society gives them very little opportunity to talk to other peers that are not experiencing the same thing. And it really isolates them in their community. But then when they come to Eles, they can open up to peers, which is, vital for their development.
How does it feel to be facilitating again after last spring's pandemic shutdown caused a pause in programming? How did you feel about being asked to facilitate a virtual group, and how is virtual facilitating going?
Okay, so when we were told we were coming back online virtually, I thought this may work for the upper level middle school, high school classes where it's more conversational, less activity based. So many of the things that we achieved were working with some of the activities where we would get them drawing, we'd get them working with the hands, we'd get them moving.
As new kids have joined our group, it's less hands-on activities and more just a space to talk and to listen.
And I just didn't really know what to expect when I started. I didn't really understand how it would work. But I actually think you get a lot of great conversations, and you get, it's different. The programming works, and how the activities we can do more engagement and say, okay, well, since we all are at our home, let's do an activity where we pick something and find something in your room that reminds you of your person, and everyone can run around and pick something up and come and show it, and then hold it up and talk about it with the other kids in the group and say, this is my dad's t-shirt, or this is my sister's teddy bear, or this is, this picture that reminds me of this vacation we had. And it's something that we wouldn't be able to do if we were in person.
Will you talk a little bit about the coping skills we learn at Eles Place?
I remember last year, like last March, in early April, I was having these feelings that I could not pinpoint and I was like, gosh, I haven't felt like this, or I have, but it's been a long time, and I could not figure out what it was. And it was like feelings of grief again, which I hadn't experienced, not quite as intensely, but it was pretty intense, that I hadn't experienced in like 12 years since my daughter died. And I remember thinking, oh, it's because this lack of control, this, with the pandemic, and this anxiety, lack of control, so much loss, that I had to like kind of go back to my Eles Place coping skills that I had learned when I attended with my own children years ago, thinking, okay, well, we need to talk about this. We need to share our feelings. We need to, focus on the things that we can control, those types of thoughts.
Like Beth, I keep coming back to that toolkit that we build up. What's in our grief coping skill toolkit?